Hey everybody, Movie Reviewer Next Door here, and I'm back with another review. And this time I saw April Fool's Day, the 2008 remake. This is a 2008 film directed by the Butcher Brothers, known as Phil Flores and Mitchell Altieri. It is a horror mystery film, and it stars Taylor Cole, Josh Henderson, Scout Taylor Compton, Joe Egender, Jennifer Seibel, Joseph Mickelheer, and Samuel Child. In this film, when an April Fool's Day prank turns deadly, Desiree Cartier, her brother Blaine, and 5 of their friends all become the targets of a twisted killer who begins hunting them down one by one. Just a second, let me adjust this. There you go. So, what did I think of April Fool's Day? Well, the only reason I watched this was because I saw the first one and I was like, I'm never going to watch this on my own, so might as well force myself. And while it 100% is completely derivative of the first, doesn't really try to do much new, and it really does suffer from some production stuff, it's not the worst horror remake I've ever seen. I'm pretty sure I'd take this over the Nightmare on Elm Street remake that completely sucked out all of the creativity of the original. And at least this one had no CGI. I can definitely give it that it relies on practical effects, especially in a time, 2008, where CGI was becoming more and more prevalent, even in lower budget films like this. It's not great, but it's not the worst thing I've ever seen. It's really close to being okay for me. But let me get to the cast. Taylor Cole plays Desiree Cartier. She's basically involved in a prank that ends up accidentally killing a young woman that she doesn't like. First of all, I will say this is a spoiler review because the first one was a spoiler review. Also, this actress on the poster is not in the film. There are no brunettes that look like that in the film. She doesn't look like any of the actors. There's Josh Henderson and Taylor Cole, but she's not one of the actors in it. But anyway, spoilers. And the freaking colors fricked up again. Taylor Cole, I think I've seen her in, oh no, server's not connecting. Oh no! Well shit, I'm trying to look at her stuff. But, she's an actress I don't know a ton about. I've seen her in something, I just can't remember what it is. But, she does fine in this. I think she's decent enough. Here's the thing. I think most of it is that her acting feels, along with everybody else's, feels very Lifetime or Hallmark or very, very soap opera-y. Even though I haven't seen a lot of soap operas, I know what they're like, and I've seen a couple episodes of, like, Days of Our Lives. This is basically April Fool Days of Our Lives. April Fool's Days of Our Lives. There you go. But her acting isn't bad. She's trying. She has a couple scenes where I'm like, okay, you're actually going for something here. Josh Henderson plays Blaine Cartier, her brother, who was trying to sleep with the girl who apparently was roofied, and the adverse reaction to that caused her to have a seizure, and then she fell off a balcony and died. He's okay. You can kind of tell that he's a former boy band guy trying to get into acting. He looks like it. He sounds like it. He reminded me of somebody from New Kids on the Block or Backstreet Boys. He's okay. Scout Taylor Compton plays Torrance Caldwell. She's an actress that's involved in all of this. I don't know a lot about Scout Taylor Compton. I know a lot of people tend to really hate her from the Halloween movies and other things that other films. I haven't really seen a lot with her, but she's fine here, I guess. She does have a bit of an annoying squeaky voice that I'm not huge on, but she's fine. Uh, Joe Agender plays Ryan. He's kind of a voyeur, I guess. He likes filming people. He's fine. Jennifer Siebel plays Barbie. She's a quiet pageant queen. She's stuck up. She's bitchy. She does that. Joseph Mickle here plays Charles Lansford. Him and Samuel Child, who plays Peter Welling, a political candidate. A big thing I have with this movie is that these two feel like they are in a comedy. Now, I'm not saying their acting is bad, it's just in the wrong fucking movie. Like, the politician is so over the fucking top. And Samuel Child, this actor, has almost exclusively worked in this director's film, so I'm guessing he's a friend of his. Same with Joseph Mickle. I mean, he was in the Aggression Scale, but he was in this director's other films, The Hamiltons, The Thompsons, and The Violent Kind. Literally all of this director's films. So I'm guessing these guys are friends. It really shows that they're not professional actors because they completely don't know what movie they're in. Like, literally, the politician character at one point, he's like saying, like, you could be a senator, you could be president, and he's like putting his finger down something on his computer, and I'm like, they're not gonna have it that he's putting a finger down as a picture of his own face, are they? And that's exactly what they do. That's what you do in like a satire. Like a satire of politicians or a satire of like Senate candidates. That would be funny in a satire. But this isn't that. This isn't a satire of rich people. If anything, it wants you to empathize with the rich people in this. And I'm not going to say I don't empathize with them because they're rich, because that's not it. It's that they act like such stuck-up prudes. Like, there's literally a part of this where our main character is like, oh, I'm so mad that you got the estate because I want a new Mercedes. And the guy's like, your Mercedes is from last year. And I'm like, I could not give less of a fuck about these people. If she was like, oh, I want the money so I can help some people out, or I don't know, so that I can invest in some stuff, that would be a bit more normal. But the fact that you make our main character, who becomes the main character that you're supposed to empathize with the entire movie, like this stuck up of a fucking prude early on, is really just, I did not fucking care about her. Like, even though Taylor Cole's acting is the best acting in the film, don't get me wrong. She is fucking trying. I think Scout Taylor Compton might be trying. I don't know much about her, so I don't know if this is just her normal way of acting. But I can tell Taylor Cole is trying. But the director gave her such an unlikable character, and I think it was a big mistake to make the main characters just privileged assholes. Because it makes me not care about them. Because literally all of their dialogue is like pantomime shit. There's literally a scene, like some of the dialogue in this movie is fucking just... The politician guy is at Desiree's party at the beginning of the film where the main incident takes place. And he says, the camera guy is like filming him, and he says, if I see that on the internet, I will have you raped by a wizard. That's a very amazing line. And let me see if I can find the other quotes. Because I can't. Damn it. There's like a monologue that happens at the end of the movie that was really funny. But yeah, like, that's fun. It's not one of the worst things I've ever seen. Far from it. But one thing I will definitely say about this that does kind of annoy me a bit is the production. Back in the 80s, if you had like a $1 million budget or even less than that, you could make a film that looks way more professional than this. because they were still filming on film. And I know back then probably a lot of the actors weren't getting paid as much as they would nowadays, but then again, we still have shit like the writer's strike and all that. I don't know, just films looked a lot more professional back in the 80s, especially independent films. Like in the mid 2000s when the rise of video started, it was a lot easier for people to get into making their own films, and the entry level was a lot cheaper. So you could get like a prosumer grade camera for not too much, and you can make a movie that looks better than like shot on video from back in the day. But this film is definitely shot on video. It looks like it. It has that kind of high-ish frame rate thing that a lot of soap operas have, hence why I say April Fool's Days of Our Lives. April Fool's Days of Our Lives. And it really just, I don't know, just the way it looks takes away from the horror atmosphere it could have had. And also, another thing, this film, I feel like the premise where it allows our characters to just roam free outside of the house kind of defeats the original intent of the first April Fool's Day, where you have the characters basically stuck in a house together. So you know that whoever is killing them is one of our characters. It's not just some rando. And with how they pose it in this, they try at a couple times to try to throw in some red herrings, like characters looking creepily at our characters to say that they might be doing it and all that. And I mean, it's all for nothing really, because if you know the original film, that's the thing with a remake of April Fool's Day. The ending of April Fool's Day is so fucking popular, and I mean, just by reading the title, you can probably guess how the fuck it ends. And even then, they try to subvert it, and I'll talk about that and what I like and dislike about them subverting that. But overall, you're just waiting for the inevitable thing to happen, which is exactly what you're expecting. If you're watching this without having seen the first, I would recommend the first. I didn't love. I didn't love the original, but I can understand why people would love it. Another thing, the characters in this again are very stereotypical, very just upper crust stereotypes, and I really didn't find anyone to really, especially near the end when I realized, oh yeah, our main character is a complete fucking bitch, who's just ready to sell out her friends to save her own life. And I don't know, just the way everything plays out, just I really didn't care about any of these characters. You think that Joe Agender's character is going to be like somewhat of a nice character, but then it turns out he's like a voyeur or whatever. He is. Maybe it's just for the plan, but you got the character that ends up dying because of the seizure from getting roofied. And she doesn't come off as a good person either, because there's a bit where Taylor Cole's talking to her, and she's like, "Do you still work with that charity for retard?" And then she says, "Developmentally disabled children." Yes. You know, it feels really nice doing these good things for people. That's literally how they talk. And also, this was filmed in North Carolina, my fucking state. And I'm fucking I get so fucking like cringe. I cringe so hard when I hear the cartoonish North Carolina accents. Yes, there are people in North Carolina that sound like this, but when literally every single extra or character that speaks with a Carolinian accent speaks exactly like her, where it's so overdone, like it's a Paula Deen-esque accent or Reba McEntire-esque accent, it gets fucking irritating. Not all North Carolinians sound like that. I'm a North Carolinian born and raised, and I don't sound like that. I sound like I've been told I sound like a New Yorkan, but I never heard that. I just don't think I have a lot of an accent. Maybe a slight one, but yeah. What else about this film? Well, I can definitely understand people who love the original not liking this at all. But I will say that there were some things that I think this film did slightly better. And one of those would be the gore. Now, in the original, there aren't pretty much every. I mean, if you're watching the review for this film, just expect some spoilers for the first one, like the first one's ending and this one's ending. You find out that like everything is set up and nobody actually died in the original, and pretty much all of the deaths take place off screen. You'll see somebody about to get killed and then it cuts to black, because if they showed it, then it would give away the twist, which is that it's all part of a staged thing to do like a whodunit murder thing. And here they do that too, but I like the fact that they actually do some makeup effects. Like a character gets his throat slit. Whenever they kill people and you can't exactly see all of it, they do it in a decent enough way to where it's actually kind of interesting how they did it. But yeah, I actually do like that. And again, I'll give more away with the twist, but I also think the film flowed a bit better, because the opening scene after that, pretty much everything just barrels through at a kind of breakneck pace, and I can actually give the film credit for that the pace is a bit better than the first. I know a lot of people might disagree and they like the slower burn mystery aspect. But for me, I was like, okay, kind of move it a bit along. I'm not huge on everything movie like that. But another thing about this film, the score by James Stemple, it's fine. There were some really odd sounding tracks. The main ones I'd say were the ones where frickin' whose character? Samuel Child's character, Peter Welling, the politician, and the song that plays during that chase scene, it's like a fucking comedy, and it feels so fucking out of place. And the scene where Desiree is running throughout her mansion away from the killer, those are the worst tracks in the film, and they feel like MIDI tracks, or like they were made in GarageBand. But I have to talk about the ending, because there's something kind of interesting about it. When you get to the end, you see Blaine and Desiree tied to chairs, and you find out that Scout Taylor Compton did everything. She set everything up. At that point, you think that she killed everybody, because nobody would confess to killing the girl. And she said, "You ruined my debut with your stunt. You did that whole party just to set me up. Or the whole party for me was just a setup. You didn't really care about my movie career." And then Desiree basically admits to everything after after Blaine, I keep forgetting his name and my eyes aren't working. Blaine gets shot, and then she basically outs everybody. She's like, Charles, the social climbing fag. I can say that because I'm gay. The social climbing fag who made a shit ton of money exploiting Milan's death. Milan, that's her name. She was talking about her brother, like, for something, the politician who couldn't keep his dick in his pants, something like that. So she's basically just outing everybody, which, to be honest, they are shitty people, but so is she. And then Scout Taylor Compton is like, oh yeah, everybody come out, we're finished. And they recorded her confession for the murder. And she's like, wait, I saw you all die with my own eyes. Well, I've got a makeup effects team from my movie. There you go. But those cops were just actors from my movie. And I was like, okay, this is kind of interesting. You're getting somewhere. Even though I don't give a fuck about this character or any of them. And then she was like, but you shot him. And then he's like, squibs. And another one goes off that I guess he had two on and didn't use one of them for some reason. And then she said, but I saw you shoot him. And then she said, they're blanks, Desiree. See? Puts it up to her fucking head, blows her fucking head off. For real. Because there was a live round that was next in the gun. And everybody fucking freaks out because this wasn't part of the plan. The whole plan was to get Desiree to admit to roofing Milan. And she did, and then she just had her head blown off. And apparently this entire time, Blaine, he had that extra round in the gun because he apparently knew that she was going to put it up to her head and fucking blow her head off. Apparently. He was going to try to set her up for everything. By the end, she gets acquitted and they think that it's just an accident. And then Charles ends up making more money off of a new book or a new TV show or something. But I think this ending could have worked if it wasn't so stupid. Because, first off, even if it was a blank and she like put the gun up to her head, if she's an actress that's used guns that fire blanks before, she would know, or at least she should know, that firing a blank really close to someone on any part of their body will fucking hurt them and can very easily, the blank can very easily eject cartridge parts that are still stuck in the barrel from the previous round. So you've got to be very fucking careful when you're firing blanks that you don't shoot right at someone's stomach, or what you usually would do is shoot to the side like John Woo did in The Killer in the ending sequence where Chow Yun-fat like shoots really close to the guy, but he's like angling the gun a bit so that it doesn't actually hit him, but they still sell it because of the camera angles and everything. But yeah, I think in trying to subvert the ending of the original in some way, it kind of just falls a bit flat because it doesn't completely work. It comes off a bit silly. And yeah, the whole thing was for Blaine to get the family fortune all to himself again, which, alright, your sister died so you could get the fortune all to yourself. Good for you, man. But yeah, this film, like, again, I have quite a few issues with it, for sure. Would I say this is like one of the worst horror remakes I've seen? Worse, I'd say it's kind of in the middle. It's not a good movie. It's not. But to say it's devoid of artistry or devoid of good things, especially when I just said there's some decent like makeup gore effects, there's some decent acting from Taylor Cole, and sure, I'll say Scout Taylor Compton was decent enough. She worked. The film doesn't look bad, it's just that it doesn't look right for a horror movie. Yeah, like, it's passable in a lot of ways, but it also does a lot of stupid shit that I mean, was in other horror movies of the time, but still does detract from it. But yeah, it's definitely not as good as the original. But yeah, that was my review of April Fool's Day. If you've seen the film, let me know what your thoughts are in the comments down below. If you have any recommendations, put them down there as well. And movie reviewer next door, out.